Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph, 15 lines down. Continuing our Mishnah, Mishnah said Matzah Hamoru Para, depending if it's grazing or if it's the item is flipped over. We're going to break it down and see if it makes sense. Hagufa Kasha, Mistira, guess doesn't make sense. Amag Matzah Hamoru Para in Baderech. First, we said that if you find a donkey or a cow grazing by the road, and Zu Avidah, it's not lost, the owner left it there. Sounds like Avidah. Sounds like only when it's grazing by the road, it's not considered not lost. But if it's running by the road or grazing in the vineyard, right? That's the inference you're making. Avidah, that's a lost item. But the next part of the Mishnah says, you found a donkey, the item slipped over. Or a cow running through the vineyard. That's lost. So, inferring from there, that's only when it's running through the vineyard, it's lost. If it's running in the road or walk or grazing in the vineyard, and that's not lost. It's exactly the opposite we just inferred from the Resha. So he brings the pasuk. It says, which means the thunder will tell us, meaning I'll explain the case. The Mishnah taught initially that the animal grazing by the road is not lost. The same thing applies if grazing by the vineyards. The Mishnah also taught that running through the vineyard is lost. And also running in the road. All right, so don't infer anything from the next. It's equivalent. Says, hold on. He's like, the thunder tell you that that's not enough light enlightenment. The Mishnah should tell us less extreme case. And for sure, the more extreme. Teach the Mishnah the way we usually teach Mishnah, which is teach the bigger Hidush. Let the Mishnah teach that the animal running by the road is considered lost. And definitely, if it's running by the vineyard, it's for sure being lost. Let the Mishnah start off by telling us that grazing in the vineyard is not lost. And definitely grazing in the road is not lost. So obviously that concept doesn't make sense. There's no stira between the runnings because there's differences. When it's lost, it's talking about where it's running away towards the wilderness. It says running outside the city. In the case where it's not lost, is where it's running towards the city. Maybe it's running towards its owner. Also, those grazing cases are not a stira. In the case where it's is not considered lost, is where you're referring to the animal. When we say it's considered lost, we're referring to the land itself, which means when we say that it's grazing by the road, it's not lost. When it says that the vineyard is lost, it's referring to the loss of land. You're helping the guy because the vineyard owner's property is getting lost. The vineyard is going to suffer. Therefore, you should take the animal away. When we mention it's running through the vineyards is not lost, is considered lost. Grazing the vineyard is not lost. Is referring to it itself. We see the animal is not lost. It must be the owner knows it's there. Because if it's running through the vineyards, the animal will become injured. Simply grazing in the vineyards won't injure it. Now, hold on a second. You just told me earlier that we're worried about the guy's property. So if it's grazing in the vineyard, okay, it won't get hurt, but maybe it'll damage the vineyard. Brian says no. It's referring to a kuti, a goy, and therefore no reason to protect the land. Don't get involved. We typically so maybe the owner the kuti guy might come out with a shotgun and might kill the animal. Brian says place where the owners warn the animal owner first, and then they'll kill the second time. So therefore, no need to fear. Where it says maybe he really warned them, and therefore this is the killing time, shotgun time. Where it says if the owner is careless after he already got warned, then it's not your problem. The owner doesn't care if his animal dies. Therefore, you should not bother yourself. Next part of Mishnah. If it ran away, brought it back, even 4 or 5 times, still returned because the pasuk says Hashev, two lashonot. Asked Rava, Ema, Hashev. Maybe the Mishnah, the Torah says Hashev means return. Hadazina means once. Teshivem, you shall return. Twice, only twice. Then for 2 times you should stop. How come the Mishnah assumes 4 or 5 times? The says Hashev afilu me'a pa'amim mashma. When it says Hashev means return it across the board, no matter what. So why double lashon? So many times as children we learn double lashon as, for example, hasher teshivim, you shall return. We learn it as you shall surely return, as if a double lashon means surely. But the Gemara explains it each time, and we're going to go through many cases now. We're going to digress a little bit soon. That the double lashon teaches you something. So let's say over here we're saying that the first word hasher return means always return it. Teshivim, why does it say it again? Maybe you can only return it to the house. Laginato urchubato minayin. I didn't know that you could drop it off by the guy's garden, to his deserted building or a shed. You can return it anywhere. Right? What's the case of returning it to these places? If it's guarded, pshita. Of course, same thing as dropping off at his house. If it's not guarded, amai, how can you drop it off there? It's not guarded. Gemara said, Gemara answers, no longer the mintra is referring to this where it is guarded. You don't have to let him know. The Azar always said, anytime you're returning something to the owner, like lost, something that's stolen, you always have to let the owner know, except for the returning of lost object. Because Torah lets you return it many different ways, including without his knowledge. So you could drop it off in a guarded location without them notifying you. Now we're going to talk about other double lishonot. Shaleach tishalach. Send away the mother before taking the child, the egg. Ima shaleach doesn't be say it once. And the shalach means you send it twice. The hidush is that you can only send the mother, the mother twice. But if it comes back again, you don't send it away the third time. You can just take the kid in front of the mother. However, the Mishnah says no. Maleh shaleach means afilu me'apamim mashma. You always send the mother away if you're taking the child. Teshalach again teaches you the following: that maybe I only need to send away the mother when it's for something like eating, optional item. I don't know that if I need to send the mother away for a mitzvah, that I still need to send the mother away, like using it for a bird, like a korban. You should send the bird away. Always send the mother before taking the child, the bird. Next case. Torah says to rebuke your friend. How come it says both lashonot? And therefore maybe it means once or twice. Why four? Why we send any amount of times? When it says rebuke, it means even 100 times. Why is it double lashon? I only know that you could rebuke a master, like a rabbi to child, to student. If the student can rebuke his teacher, he should. You can always rebuke. Azov ta'azov emo. You shall help the guy unload his animal if your friend's animal is collapsing under the weight. It says double ashon. I only know that only if the owner is working along to help him. If the owner is not working to help him because he's old or sick, you should do it by yourself. You should do it no matter what. Hakim takimimo. Pasuk says, in regarding to loading the animal, it says you shall load the animal. Double lashon. I only know if the owner is helping you. I know that if the owner is not helping you because he can't. How do you know? Hakim takim. You shall surely help him in all the times. Why you need both loading and unloading? Maybe just write one and learn from another. You need to know. We only mention unloading because it's the animal suffering. And also the owner can lose money if the animal dies or is injured. But loading, there's no suffering to the animal. The animal won't get the owner won't lose money with the animal. You have no obligation to load, and therefore you have to teach loading. If you only mention loading, this is hard because usually it's done for payment. He has to get reimbursed for his time. Maybe unloading for free, maybe we shouldn't help him. Therefore, we have to mention both. Now, Rabbi Shimon who holds the even loading is free. How does he hold the both lashonot? Rabbi Shimon says it doesn't. We're not entirely sure how that pasuk is working. Therefore, if you only written one, we wouldn't have fully understood it. Okay. How come the Mishnah have to write the unloading and loading? Then how come the Torah also to write it by a lost object? Let's learn one from the other. We need all sets of laws. We mentioned loading and unloading. You might think you have to help with those. Because the owner is going to be in anguish. He'll be helpless. Also, the animals in suffer. Lost object. Only in anguish to the owner. But no discomfort to the object itself if it's lost. Maybe patur. We mentioned the lost object. Mishum Bletin Lamara Bahada, because the owner's not there to help out by the lost object, therefore you're Chayav. But regarding loading and unloading, the owner is there. Then maybe no obligation to help him, let him help himself. See how therefore Torah says to help him out. Continue. Mot Yumad Hamakeh, regarding someone who's committed a murder. He says, double Lashon, you shall kill him. And the Ela b'mita ktuba bo. I only know that if he's headache, he has to get killed by headache. I didn't know that if you can't put him to death through headache, you're allowed to kill him in any possible way that you can. Right? How do we know that you're able to kill him any possible way if you can't? Let's say you can't do headache. He's escaping Betin. He's going on a boat. How do you know that you could snipe him or shoot him? But because make sure he dies no matter what. You shall also destroy a city that with majority or completely full of avodah zarah. And I only know that you could do the type of killing with the Torah says, yani killing with the sword. How do you know that they're all escaping and you can't do headache? How do you know that you'll have to do anything you want? Make sure they're dead. Teshev, regarding returning a collateral. So if someone has a collateral for the loan, he has to return it to the guy. So Pasuk says two different things. First of all, it says Hashem return the collateral. Let's say Betin gave you the guy's blanket and Betin gave it to you. How do you know that I only know from the Pasuk that if only Betin gave me it, I have to return it. I don't know that if the Betin I stole it from the guy without him knowing, without Betin knowing or approval, I don't have to return it. Always return the collateral when he needs it. Another thing, you shall give back the garment of your friend as collateral. I only know that it's only done with permission. Same thing. I don't know that I did it without permission. I don't know if they return it to the I don't know how come I need two different pesukim to tell me to return the collateral. One's teaching me that I have to return the garment by day if the guy needs it by day, and one teach me that he needs to return a night garment for the night. Make sure you give money to poor. I only know that you have to give money, poor people money from your own city. I don't know if you give people from other cities. Always give aniyim. Not 2010. Similarly, I only know that maybe Pasuk's telling me I have to give only big gifts. I don't know that if I can't afford a big, I could give a small gift. Not 2010. Just give gifts. Ta'anik, when your Eved Ivri is leaving you, you're supposed to give him like a severance package. And the I only know that the Pasuk seemingly is only hinting to you only if he helped you out and gave you beracha because of his presence. That's when he gets his severance gifts. I don't know that if I was not blessed through him, I still have to give him. Always give the gift. You only give him if you're blessed. So what do you do with that extra word? The Brat Torah Torah, you just use the common language and you can't learn from it. You shall lend money to people. Let it say, I only know from the Pasuk, only for a person who does not have his own money and does not want to be supported through donations. Give him through a loan so that he doesn't think it's a gift. But if he has his own money, but he doesn't want to support himself with his own money, he's a miser. I didn't know that you still have to loan him. You should always lend money, even if the guy has money. But according to Shimon holds that you don't help with the miser who doesn't want to support himself. What do you do with that pasuk? Same answer. The Torah used common language. Next part of Mishnah. The guy stopped working because he was returning the item and he lost the seller of work. He can't tell the owner, give me the money that I lost. And then give him a wage of a worker. So the Mishnah says, Tanan. The owner gives him money like an idle worker, which means like a minimum wage. The Gemara says, what does that mean? How much would a guy choose to be batel from his current work to do this work? So he works in a mine under the ground and he gets paid $1,000 an hour, but one day he'd rather just walk around returning lost objects for $20. Maybe he'll do it. That's how much he gets paid. Next part of Mishnah. If there's a court in the area the guy can make a Tanai in front of Betin that he'll only do it if he's getting paid full value. Isur and Rav Safra were business partners. When they time to split it up, Azar Rav Safra went up and divided the stuff. Below that, the Isur without the Isur, his partner's knowledge, but he did it in front of two people. He said, bring the three people you did in front of, like Betin. Or bring two of the three men testify that there was at least a Betin of three people there. Bring two witnesses to testify divided before Betin. Yani, you needed three, not two. Amar Le, Rav says, I didn't know that in order to split a partnership, I need three. Amar Le, Mishnah. We know that if by the case of the job, that's if you want to start making conditions on money, you have to have Betin. Amar says, Amar Le, whoa, how can my case and that Mishnah be compared? Regarding Mishnah's case, money is being extracted from the finder who's losing on work and is giving it to the lost object back to the owner. In that case, you need Betin to exact payment. Over here, I'm splitting my own money that I already owned. He's not trying to take more money from me. It's just I'm trying to divide the thing equally. Two people is enough to do it in front of her. And we should know, the Mishnah says, an almanah can sell the property of her husband's estate without a bedin. So we see we don't need bedin. We know that Mishnah Amar Rav Yosef Bar Miriam Bar Nachman almanah ina tzricha bedin shel mumchin aval tzricha bedin shel hadiyot. That's not good proof because over there it says you don't need a bedin of official bedin of Sanhedrin, but rather you do need a bedin of three people who are professional in assessing, even if they're laymen. So also you as well with the partnership, you needed a regular, but at least three people to do it in front of, not two. Next Mishnah. Mitzvah berefet, if you found the animal in the barn, you don't have to return it, it's not lost. But if you found in public, you should return it. Let's say the Kohen, the finders of Kohen and the lost honors is in the cemetery. Don't become tameh. But his mom says, go get it, become tameh. Let's say he was able to get it, but then the father says, don't return it. Yani he's being osir on Isur and Torah. Don't listen to him. He has to listen to Hashem. Parak b'ta'an, let's say a guy is unloading someone else's animal and then he reloaded it. Parak b'ta'an, he did it again. Even 4 or 5 times, he still has to help him out. As many times as needed. Let's say the owner walked away and sat down and said, Amar says to him, since you have mitzvah to help me, go unload. I'm not helping you. Patur, you don't have to help him. Why? Because Neymar Patur says, Ta'azov immo, you have to help him, which means you are assisting him, not doing it yourself. But if the guy is sick or old, then he can't do it at all, then you have to help him solo. Mitzvah in Torah, in essential Torah, is to unload, to help the animal. Avodah reload. Even to unload, even to reload. The rest of the animal has more than it and then it can carry. You don't have to help him unload it. Under its burden, which means it's supposed to be the amount that it should carry, it just can't at this moment. But if the guy was careless and put too much, that's not your problem. The case where the Mishnah says at the barn, it's referring to a place that is not going to cause the animal to escape. It's not watched as well. It's not going to cause the animal to run away. It's the fact that we see that you don't have to bring back the animal. Otherwise, if it was going to run away from this barn, then you should have to bring it back. It's not watched. It means from the fact that Mishnah tell you that you don't have to bring it back. Obviously, it's not watched. Otherwise, no chidush. Because if you thought it was watched, now that you found the animal outside, you could bring it inside. If it's inside, you need to bring it back. It's already inside, it's already watched. That's why there must be some case where it's not watched, but it's not afraid of it leaving. If you found the animal in the barn, you're not required to return it. It's only referring to the case when the barn's inside the Tuchum of the nearest town. Outside the Tchum, you have to return it. That's referring to that. That sounds like that in the case of Reshut Rabim in the Mishnah. Even if it's in town, like in Ocean Parkway, you have to return even though it's in Tchum. Let's say something to learn from the second part of the Mishnah. You have to bring an animal inside from Bishut Rabim to return it. Rabbi Yitzchak, it's only outside Tchum. That sounds like in the case of a barn. I feel that if the barn outside the Tchum, you're still not chayav to return it because it is safe inside that barn. Amen. Amen.